And that eventually really caught up with me, where I experienced a lot of burnout. I was dealing with fight or flight, where my stress was just elevated for so long, really dealing with cortisol imbalance, which that's your stress hormone, created all sorts of problems in my body, trouble losing weight postpartum, to gut issues, to skin issues, trouble sleeping, and beyond. And it's really hard to show up as your best self as a mom, as a founder, as a business person if you don't feel well.
Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I'm your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. Welcome back, friends. We have an amazing Turquoise Talk guest today where we're going to be talking about all things wellness. So our guest today is Rachel Saunders. She is the founder, innovator, and health and wellness expert committed to helping women 30 plus achieve vibrant health with simple, practical advice. She is the CEO and founder of Rootine, which is a modern wellness brand offering science-backed supplements and at-home lab testing. She is passionate about sharing her knowledge and her practical health tips that she's learned as a mom of two and wellness company founder, offering actionable advice to improve overall well-being and achieve optimal health. And we really did dive into cortisol, the effects of cortisol, some just simple adjustments, simple shifts that you can make in your wellness journey so that you don't fall into the all or nothing mentality. We know we are in an age of knowledge at our fingertips. And so it's not a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of implementation. And for many of us, when it comes to our wellness journey, it's the overwhelm of all of the information and where do I start? So we talk through all of those things today in the podcast. So let's dive right in. Welcome back, friends. Today we have another amazing Turquoise Talk guest lined up for you. Rachel, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little about you, your family, and how you became a mompreneur.
I am a health and wellness expert. I'm a founder of a wellness brand called Rootine. We create smarter supplements for your most vibrant health and focus on sleep, stress, and focus right now with our functional drink mixes. I'm also a digital creator and a mom of two. And I have been a mompreneur the whole time I've been a mom. So I actually founded my business Rootine before becoming a mom and then had two babies over the course of building and scaling it and doing all the other things that I do.
Yeah. So tell us, one of the questions I love to ask is just, entrepreneurship, mompreneurship. It's interesting, right? It has its ups and its downs and its all arounds and upside down moments. And I'm sure there's some lessons that you've learned along the way in your journey. So if there's someone who's listening today that maybe just is getting started in her mompreneurship journey, tell her, what are some things you wish you would have known before you started?
I would say there's two things. The first is that your life is probably not going to look like anyone else you know. And so just be comfortable with that. There's going to be challenges that you're experiencing that other moms in your circle probably aren't. There's going to be frustrations that you might have at home that you might not be hearing about from other moms. So accept that and try to find some other folks that are in a similar boat to you. So are there other moms that are business owners and mompreneurs? Because I think that's going to be really helpful to share that experience, though there are less of us around. And then the second is to really pay attention to your health. So one of the things that I didn't focus on as much, even being a wellness company founder, but I kind of did the company and did mom things over doing things for myself. And that eventually really caught up with me, where I experienced a lot of burnout. I was dealing with fight or flight, where my stress was just elevated for so long, really dealing with cortisol imbalance, which that's your stress hormone, created all sorts of problems in my body, trouble losing weight postpartum, to gut issues, to skin issues, trouble sleeping, and beyond. And it's really hard to show up as your best self as a mom, as a founder, as a business person if you don't feel well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it like makes so much sense, right, in our brain. Like when someone's hearing you say that, and they've heard me say it a gazillion times on this podcast. But what do you think it is that keeps it from really sticking? And like just do they have to get to that place of just like you said, some of the symptoms that you have before it really gets your attention? Because logically it makes sense, right? We can't pour from an empty cup. We say that all the time, but living it out day to day is just such a struggle for
Yeah.
so many women that are listening.
I think people struggle for time, right? Like there's only
Yeah.
24 hours in a day. And when you're trying to do so many things, it's easy to say, all right, I'll just do that tomorrow or I'll work out tomorrow. When
Mm,
you are excited about building business, you're excited about being a mom, you want to do these other things that it's hard to get in the habit of doing it. But the important thing is just to start to try to do it. The other thing I think a lot of people experience is that it's overwhelming. So if you're
yeah.
not someone who has historically been paying attention to their health and wellness, it's really hard to get started when you're in the middle of 1,000 other things. And so that's one of the things that I really feel passionate about is, especially for women as they get into their 30s, they have so much going on, helping these women find simple strategies that take 5 minutes, that take 10 minutes, that can make a difference in
Mhm.
your health instead of saying, hey, you need to go commit to a 2 hour protocol in the morning, or you need to have a 1 hour wind down routine at bed and you're spending 5 hours a day on your wellness. It's like, I don't have time for that. Right. So
Yeah.
trying to figure out the things that actually fit within your life is really important.
Yeah. And what have you found for you? Like, what are some tried and true strategies that you use that help you to manage your stress, manage your emotions, manage your sleep, all the things wellness?
I'll share one story and one habit that I started doing, I guess this week it happened, and I'm absolutely loving it right now. Or I guess I came back to it this week. So I was having a particularly bad parenting night where my son decided to scream from about dinner time through to bedtime. So he just turned
Mm,
2, something set him off. I told him he couldn't wash his hands for the 5th time and he wanted to wash his
yeah.
hands and then screamed and cried for the rest of the night. And I was overstimulated. I was overwrought. I was really just like done at that point mentally. And I feel like as parents, we have those nights. And to top it off, my daughter started screaming towards the end of the night too. So it was one of those like fires everywhere type of situation. And so by the time that we put the kids to bed, I wanted to do nothing except for maybe eat a lot of chocolate, pour some wine, and like binge scroll on my phone. Because those are those initial, like, all right, what's the dopamine? What's going to immediately make
Hmm.
us feel better? And instead of doing that, I was like, you know what? I love meditating occasionally. It's hard for me. I don't do it all the time, but maybe this is the situation where meditation is going to work. And so I picked up my Calm app. I hit the daily meditation, laid on my floor, and did the 10-minute meditation right after I put the kids to bed in place of that chocolate or that wine or that bad
Mm,
habit. And it instantly changed my mood. I went from overstimulated to calm, relaxed, but also energized because I had some more work to do that night. And it completely shifted me. And it only took 10 minutes. I mean, how
mm,
many of us sit on our phones and scroll for 10 minutes and then end up feeling worse? And it didn't
yeah.
actually give us what we needed. And so replace the 10 minutes that you're going to scroll with the 10-minute meditation and see how it makes you feel. And there's a lot of other little habits and things like that where it's just a simple shift to see
Hmm.
how can you just replace one thing you're doing with something a little bit better for you that makes such a difference.
Yeah. And I do think it's like, we think it has to be a lot of what I coach on is the all or nothing mentality, where if I don't have an hour to devote to my health and wellness and managing my stress, then what could 10 minutes really do? Right. But it can do a lot. We don't have to go for hours and hours or go on a girls' weekend. It's like, what can you do in the day to day, every day, to help you manage your stress and your wellness? And I do think it's the overcomplicated. There's so much information out there, like especially
Mm-hmm.
right now. I'm sure you're seeing this in the space that you're in, like cortisol and all of that's like the buzzword. It's just like everywhere and everyone's talking about it. And there is so much information that I do think sometimes we just get overwhelmed. But well, what's the right option? There's all these options out there, and someone's saying use this product and use this product, and another one's saying no, now use this one, no, do this, no, do that. It's just can be overwhelming. So we're not at a loss of information. It's the implementation part that
Yeah.
is the hard part. When you have a kid that's screaming and all you want to do is just go to one of your go-tos, you have to be intentional about choosing the right thing, or not even the right thing. I don't want to say right, but choosing the healthy thing for you. And that looks
Mm-hmm.
different for everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things that comes up with my clients also is sleep. I think it's one of the most underrated success tools out there is getting a good night's sleep. And as moms, whether you have littles or minor teenagers and they're older, it's still something on your mind, and it's still hard to turn off the entrepreneur brain, right? To get you to get a good night's sleep. So what tips would you have for them when it comes to that part of their wellness with the sleep?
Yeah, there's a reason cortisol is having a moment, and I hope it continues to have a moment for a very
Yeah.
long time to come.
Yeah.
Because stress, as I've kind of gone down this journey on my own journey, I'm now in the process of becoming a certified hormone health expert and learning even further down that. Stress is at the root of so much of what we're dealing with. And it's not just the irritability and the moodiness today, it's the creating an opportunity for chronic illness to set in the future.
Yeah.
And so if we understand that stress is such a problem, now we can do a lot of things to change it. And I say that as a response to your question on sleep, because one of the main reasons women can't sleep as much is because their stress is so out of whack. Their cortisol is so imbalanced. So cortisol is our kind of, let's call it wake hormone. Melatonin is our sleep hormone. And if your cortisol, and they work together. And so if your cortisol is out of balance, it often throws off melatonin in your sleep. So if you're someone who's having racing thoughts going to bed, waking up at 2 a.m., it's probably your stress. And so figuring out how you can think about stress management during the day is actually going to help you way more with your nighttime issues. That said, there's also things that we can do around specifically sleep that make a huge difference. There's a ton of research around getting morning sunlight. That has to do with your cortisol awakening response and getting those hormones, the melatonin and the cortisol, balanced in the way that they should be. So that's one thing that people can do. And then at night, one of the things that I've started doing that I didn't used to do, but I've been very intentional about the work that I actually do at night. So after I put my kids to bed, I will often work for 1 to 2 hours, plus or minus there. And I used to go through emails or go through Slack or go through what else do I need to do? And that ended up being the worst thing that I could possibly do for my sleep, because 9 times out of 10, I would open my inbox, everything was going fine. And then all of a sudden I'd get an email and it would just set me off. And then I was triggered and I was thinking about it and ruminating, and then I would dream about it. And that's really difficult. So think about the work that you can do that you're not going to get triggered. So for me, that was strategy work. How can I plan out social content, writing, basically anything that was more deep work, internal, where I had control over the inputs that were coming into my eyes and my body and my mind, versus anything where you have no idea what you're going to see. And that's everything from scrolling on the news to social to looking at your emails to looking at Slack. That's other people's stuff. And you don't want other people's stuff right before you go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's like having an ER visit before you go to bed, like an ER nurse, she has no idea what's coming. She just has to be ready for it all. Exactly. So they are in that constant fight or flight mode. And that's definitely not what you want before you're going to bed. So what have you found have been some helpful ways for either yourself or for others to kind of down regulate their nervous system? I do think that's also a big piece of it is, as an entrepreneur, you have your mom hat, you have your CEO hat, you have your entrepreneur hat. And so you're always at that elevated state. And I don't even think for most women, I think it, again, kind of like cortisol, it's becoming a conversation that we're having. What does it mean to have a dysregulated nervous system? And how do I regulate that? And what are some of those things? I just think it's, again, a healthy conversation that we need to keep having. I'm with you. It's not taboo anymore. We need to talk about these things. It's not just here, take a pill or just deal with it, which is what a lot of women have been doing over the years, is just dealing with it. So can you explain that process? How to down regulate for someone who is a mompreneur that's listening today? Hey friend, as we wrap up 2024, I have a question for you. Are you heading into 2025 with the clarity, confidence, and focus you need? Or are you feeling a little stuck, maybe overwhelmed, or simply unsure of how to reach that next level? You want more for yourself, you want more for your family, you want more for your business, but the how to get there part is where you're not having as much clarity around. So, I've been offering clarity calls every single week. And maybe you've been telling yourself, I'm too busy, Martine, to book a clarity call. And guess what? Friend, if you feel like you're too busy to make time for clarity, that's exactly the sign you need to prioritize it. A short call could save you months of spinning your wheels. Or maybe you're saying, I'm not ready to invest in coaching, so I don't need to book a clarity call. And that's okay. This isn't about committing to a program. It's about committing to yourself. It's about getting unstuck and finding the focus you need to move forward. So whether you decide to move forward in Illuminate You coaching or not, this call will be beneficial for you. And lastly, maybe you're saying like, I don't even know what I need. Perfect. Like this exactly why the clarity call exists, to help you to figure out what's next. And here's the thing. It's not a sales pitch or a high pressure conversation. It's a relaxed, judgment free space tailored to your goals. It's a chance to uncover what's possible, prioritize what really matters, and walk away with a renewed sense of direction. So imagine stepping into 2025 with clarity on where to focus your energy and the confidence to take action. If that sounds like you, then this is your week, friend. I'm calling this Clarity Call Week. I've opened up extra spots, and it will be the last opportunity, honestly, in 2024 to get on a clarity call with me to help you to finish this year strong and to step into the new year with intention. So go to martinewilliams.com and book your clarity call. The spots are limited. It's first come, first serve. Again, this will be the last opportunity to do that in 2024. I can't wait to connect with you. We'll put the link in the show notes as well. And I will see you on your clarity call.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know what cortisol is, it's a stress hormone. It's a major hormone in your body. And that means that other hormones can be impacted by it. So if your cortisol is imbalanced, other hormones can be imbalanced, other biological processes can be off. So it really matters when we say, all right, let's think about our stress hormone. Let's think about our cortisol. And what it should look like is it should sharply raise in the morning. That's your cortisol awakening response. And then slowly go down throughout the day. What ends up happening is people have an imbalance from being in fight or flight or having chronic stress over long periods of time. And that imbalance can look like it being too high at any point during the day or too low at any point in the day. That's actually signaling that you've been in fight or flight for a really long time and you're having some adrenal dysfunction. Some people say adrenal fatigue.
Yeah.
We don't know how we like the word adrenal fatigue, but it's adrenal dysfunction essentially. And when I tested my cortisol a couple of years ago for the first time, my cortisol was too low in the morning and it was too high at night. So it was actually switched from where it really should be. And there's a lot of things that you can do across lifestyle, nutrition, movement, and natural stress management techniques that can really help bring that back into balance. And then, of course, there's also supplementation that has been proven to help with supporting healthy stress response and healthy cortisol levels. Stress that we formulated internally ourselves has ingredients like ashwagandha, rhodiola, Siberian ginseng, and astragalus. And they're all at therapeutic dosages, which is really important. So that's a supplement that you can add to help further support it, but it's not going to, you take the supplement and your stress is away, although it does make you feel calmer quite quickly. I will say that. But it's in conjunction with the rest of it. And so there's a lot of things across every piece of your life that you can look at to really help. But that goes back to that overwhelm part. It's like, where do you start? And the best place to start is going to be different for every person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the first step is you have to slow down.
Yeah.
You got to slow down long enough to even have the conversation with yourself or to just decide like, what is the one area? You know, most of us, especially as high ambitious, high achieving mompreneurs, like we want to like do it all at the same time. And that's where the overwhelm comes in. But we have to slow down long enough to really investigate like, okay, what is the one area that I can most impact right now?
Exactly.
And go solve for that.
Exactly. And there's so much research around rushing, going from Zoom to Zoom to Zoom to meeting to picking up your kids to running here to running there to being late. That puts our body in this constant state of fight or flight. Like it feels just like constantly under stress. So maybe you're starting with, how do I pause more throughout my day? How do I actually sit down and eat my lunch, chew it? I'm learning most recently, a lot of people don't chew their food enough such that the nutrients aren't actually getting digested and they're having nutrient imbalances because you're rushing through your meals so quickly. So sit down, don't do anything else, chew your food, have that lunch, and then go back to work. Or maybe you can take a 1-minute breathing meditation, do a quick body scan between a couple of your calls. Or maybe you don't schedule that thing that like maybe or maybe not is going to fit within your schedule. Leave 5 minutes early so you're not rushing to get to the event that you're going to. Little things like this make a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Those tiny, tiny shifts And it has to start in the mindset too, right? Like you have to really like, what are you thinking about stress? Is it just, well, this is just how everyone lives? And I do think I think we're coming out of like a hustle culture. I think for a long time, that's just been the mentality. Like to be successful, you have to hustle and sacrifice your own health and the health of your family and your relationships on the altar of success. And I do think there's been many of us, including myself, who've been trying to be not, I mean, I am anti-hustle. I'm not anti-work hard. Like having a business, you have to work, you have to put the work in, but I'm definitely anti-hustling 24/7, 365. So it has to start with what you believe about yourself and what you believe about your importance in taking care of your body and your mind and all the things that, encompasses wellness, including sleep. I just think I hear this all the time, like, oh, I can get by on 4 hours of sleep. I'm like,
no, you can't. You're not productive. Your brain's not working. It also, if you don't sleep, if you're on a weight loss journey, for example, and you're not sleeping, your body is immediately going to start craving those sugars and those fats because they're unhealthy fats because it wants that energy. And so it's harder to regulate your cortisol. It's harder to regulate your other hormones. It's harder to manage your blood sugar. So blood sugar is a big piece of this. And when you don't sleep, blood sugar imbalances are worse than when you do. There's research around eating the same meal for people that slept 8 hours versus slept less, and your blood sugar is just not balanced in the same way. And so it's hard for your body to operate without sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So tell me, you mentioned earlier, like experiencing burnout. I like to ask every one of my podcast guests about their own version of burnout because it does show up differently for people. So when you were experiencing burnout, like what were some of your symptoms? What were you thinking and feeling? And how did you work your way out of it?
Yeah, I've had it a bunch of times. Admittedly, I've been building this for a while. The times in between are lessening more recently, but it's shown up in different ways in different times. The first time it came on, it was really like I kept trying to push and like kept trying to work. And I would just sit there and be like completely unable to do anything. And like I couldn't think through things. And it was just like a mental thing where it was very weird. And I was like, this feels like it's not supposed to. So I took a break. I went to the spa. I got a massage, sat in the steam room, like gave myself a little bit of a break, and it got better. Most recently, I guess my more recent burnout stage looked a lot more like a functional freeze, which is similar, but it was functional freeze across everything. So I was kind of just like sitting there scrolling for hours, like binging Netflix, like not wanting to make decisions, which is really weird for me because I'm normally someone who will make a decision really quickly and move on. And so that's a big key where I can kind of see where that is. And that took a little bit more work to get out of. It was a lot more about energy releasing, thinking about what was going on, how to kind of move through it. And I got out of it. It didn't take that long, but that's more what that one felt like than the first.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important. Like once you feel it coming on, it's kind of like, we won't always be able to shut off all of those automatic negative thoughts that present every single day, but you learn to catch them sooner and you learn to deal with them sooner and reframe your mindset quicker. And so it's the same thing with burnout. Like once you see it coming and you've experienced it, it's like you're paying attention and really, getting in tune with your body, oh, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. And let me work through it quicker. Like, and you've learned the first time how to make those adjustments the second time and the third time and the fourth time.
I mean, it still comes. And it's, there's been other times where it's lasted longer because I've gotten sick where like my immune system shut down essentially as part of it. And then like when you're sick, it's harder to get out of it. So it's definitely, if you can catch it, I mean, obviously preventing is the best way to do it, but catching it early so that you can actually slow down. And it comes at the worst times, kind of like getting sick comes at the worst times. It's similar. It's like you're really pushing on this big project and then all of a sudden your brain's like, nope. And you just have to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't push through it. You just gotta release, and give your body and your mind the break that it needs. And asking for support. That's the beautiful thing about this podcast is, all of my guests are being introduced to, or all my listeners are getting introduced to so many different experts and guests and people who specialize in all of the different areas of wellness and health and mindset. And it's okay to ask for that help. And I think as mompreneurs, we do struggle with raising our hand and being vulnerable and saying, I'm not okay right now. I need the support, or I want to start my wellness journey, but I'm overwhelmed by all the information. So how can I get someone to kind of help me work through that? So have you had to, in your own journey, had to like raise your hand and say, I need some help here. I need some support. Like, in what ways have you found support to help you?
I haven't needed as much support on the health and wellness side just because I'm in and around it. Yeah. It's more that I need to, this is the time where I have to actually book it and go do it. But I do put my hand up around support around childcare and meals. Mm-hmm. So like the extra stuff. So we have great, reliable childcare and typically all set on kind of meals and making sure the house is running. But sometimes it's just harder. And so maybe it's that extra couple of hours on the weekend or sneaking away Saturday morning and getting a workout, which I don't normally do because I'll typically watch the kids at that point. So it's kind of figuring out like what are those extra little things that you need and who are you asking and how are you getting it, and being really vocal around the help.
Yeah. So tell us what you're most excited about in your business right now. And I don't think you've really shared like who you work with and the products that you have. So I'd love for you just to share a little bit so the listeners can know a little bit more about that side of the business.
Yeah. So I'm the CEO and founder of Rootine. Our kind of core product right now that we're loving is our functional drink mixes for sleep, stress, and focus. They are adaptogen blends, clinician formulated, third-party tested, all meant to work quickly. So most people are feeling the effects of the product that they're taking, whether it's sleep, stress, or focus, within about 20 minutes. And so it's not something where you have to take it over and over again, and maybe you'll feel a difference in a month. If you're stressed and wanting to feel more calm and relaxed, I take stress. I take that as my wine alternative. Sleep is melatonin free, and it really helps you fall asleep, be more relaxed, put that brake pedal on the brain, stay asleep, and you're not waking up with the groggy feeling that a lot of the melatonin based products do. So this is melatonin free. And focus is kind of like nature's Adderall. It gives you that extra little brain boost. I take it before I work out too, and because it gives you that calm energy, because it's got really great ingredients there. So those are our products, and I'm really excited about all of them. We launched this is the newest product line we launched about 6 months ago. And before that, we also have our Smart Multivitamin, which is custom dosed to your biological data, also supported by our at-home lab test. We have a cortisol test as well. So really a more holistic way to approach health and supplementation.
So is it the kind of thing like where they come to you for coaching and all the testing and everything, or can they just go to like your website and buy the products?
Just go to the website and buy the products.
Okay.
And they're available on Amazon too.
Do you have coaching along with it or no?
We don't at this time.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, if you could leave the listeners, all the mompreneurs of the world who listen to the podcast each week, if you could leave them with one final note about mompreneurship, what would you want them to be encouraged by?
It's not easy, but it's worth it. And taking care of your health is going to make it a whole lot easier along the way.
Yeah. I love that. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. This is a topic we could talk hours and hours and hours on, but I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing this with us. We'll put links to everything in the show notes. I would love for you just to audibly tell them, like, where's your website? Where's the best place to follow you?
Yeah. So you can find more about me on socials. My Instagram is Rachel Soap Sanders. That's SOP Sanders. You can find my website, links to my newsletter, and how to get all the free stuff that I share there. And then Rootine, you can find us online at rootine.co. Our products are also available on Amazon and TikTok Shop, and we're routine_co on social.
Awesome. Well, I know they're going to be running to go get it. Who doesn't need more focus, more sleep? And what was the other one?
Stress relief.
Yeah. And if it's immediate, we don't have to wait, us ambitious. We want the result now. We don't want we want it yesterday.
Exactly.
Not in 3 hours from now or three months from now. So
exactly.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.